Hey YouTube, welcome back to Monkey Business. Today we are going to be working on the shocks, getting those replaced, and also the airbags on the passenger side. We got Boo Boo here, the shop dog, and we got Jeremy here, and we are gonna go ahead and start getting started.
So I'm going to teach you something here maybe about taking apart tapered joints like this tie rod end. We'll see if it works. 90% of the time it does, but in a machine shop we deal with a lot of taper fits like this, and people use pickle forks or put the nut back on and tap right there. We're going to try just giving it a good old wrap right here on the side. And maybe it won't work. Or eventually it did. But that's one way to do it without messing up the threads on the bolt or tearing your boot there. Here in a minute we'll try over here and see if the same thing works, but here we go. One of the other things we're going to work on these shocks is we're going to shorten these bolts up. Right now, the shock mount wants to rub into those aluminum wheels when we turn sharp. We built some nice little stops here, but the turning radius shortens up if we use those stops. So we're going to try to make a little more clearance so that we can get that wheel to turn a little tighter. When you're taking apart that sway bar end link, just remember what order everything goes in. They're pretty easy to change.
Shaboing!
If it was a spring, it would have made a little noise. So I'm going to take these old bags out of the way. I got this all strapped up and it stays out of the way. There's a little bit of tension on that brake line, but I think we're going to be replacing those. Anyway, we're going to take the pry bar, get in there, and now here we've got to push in on this and pull that line out, and that gets the old bag out of the way. We'll get those mounts cleaned up. They've been in there a while. We'll get those mounts cleaned up, modified. This bottom one's going to have to get cut down, and the bolt lengths will change on that when we do. And we'll get these out of here, get the new ones swapped in. We're getting ready to take the plasma cutter, cut this frame out so that it clears around this bag. You want about 1 inch of clearance all the way around, depending on what kind of bag you're using. These bags are known for not swelling. Some other bags have a tendency to change in size and shape. You have to cut out the bottom side of this in here too if you're working with a stock frame. This frame has already been cut, 4 bags. This frame was not only enlarged for that smaller bag, so we'll double check that diameter, but it was also clearanced so that when that A-arm came up, that it had the most possible clearance there we could get, so that we could get as low as we could. That's held up well for years, but this time we're going to have to take some side clearance out of there to get enough room for the edge of this bag right up in through here. I've already done the measuring, and I think this shape right here is going to work out well for us. We'll go in there, get that clearanced, and then we're going to weld a piece of this back in here, stepped up so that it still clears that A-arm. Here we go, let's get started on that.
Boo-Boo likes the sunshine. She likes to sunbathe, don't ya?
This Hobart 12 CI plasma cutter is really nice. It doesn't require the use of an air compressor. It's limited in thickness, I believe, to about 1/4 of an inch in my experience. But it works well, makes a nice clean cut. Plugs into 110. You can carry it with you anywhere, just one little box. It's a really nice setup. So here's the piece we cut out of here. I'll dress this up nice with the grinder. And then we're gonna make a inch wide or so piece that sticks out right here. It'll have to taper in around this sway bar mount and head back toward that original frame. But we'll space that out 1 inch. That'll give bag clearance We still got some more clearancing to do inside the hole. If you come around here and look in the hole, I've taken where this was a pinch weld together of two pieces of metal, and here I've cut that section out. Before I cut it the rest of the way out, I'm going to go in and weld that and make that back into one piece, but nice and smooth instead of with the lip on it. We'll go in there, get that welded, and then we'll finish cutting the rest of this out on the front and the rear for the clearance. Now remember that my spring cups were already cut out for the smaller diameter bag, and I'm just going to a bigger bag. So in your case, if you're doing this on an S10, you'll have to make the whole cut. So I've got the upper bag bracket on here. I don't have the lower bag bracket on yet, but if you look up underneath, you can see we have good clearance all the way around. And now we'll get ready to clean this piece up and weld it in right here. So here we go. So we got this piece all cleaned up, got the slag off of it. Got this piece of scrap metal that's the same thickness. I laid this out here, just how I'm gonna put that space. Drew around the outside of that with my pencil and made a mark. I measured in 1 inch, which is how much of a lip that I want sticking around here. We're gonna take this, scoot it in 1 inch and trace around it again. And then up there toward the front where the sway bar was, I want to bend that in. So I've made a relief cut with a plasma cutter so that I can put a bend in this. And when I get to here, I'm gonna go ahead and bend this and then draw that line around there. I'll go ahead and tack this on here and then start rolling that around with the heat on both ends. And plasma cut this piece out of my scrap metal when I get it done, and that will make that lip. So I'm going to start on that, and we'll check back with you here in a few. All right, so we got the airbag assembly all put in. Everything's bolted up nice and tight and reassembled. We started back here. We had to modify a bracket back here for our shock a little bit, and we decided instead of these big shock bolts that we had on here before, these like to get it right into the edge of the aluminum wheel. We're gonna go with a shorter little carriage bolt so that that doesn't stick out nearly as far. And that's going to give us some more clearance. We've got these nice QA1 double adjustable shocks for compression and rebound. And we're going to get these installed in here.